we get into talking about how questions with your clients help you establish that deeper relationship of trust. Those questions help the objections melt away. When you position yourself with questions in your prospective clients, you position yourself as an advocate on the same side of the table, solving their problems, not an adversary across the table pushing a product. But before we go into that, let's just start talking about questions for a few minutes, shall we? How many questions do you think we are asked and answered in any given day? How many? Would you believe, and they've studied this, experts believe we are asked and answered 35,000 questions in any given day. 35,000. Think about it. Who's had their phone buzz in the short time that you've been at the main platform this morning? And when your phone buzzed instantly, a dozen people around you asked and answered a question to themselves. Did I turn my phone off? And as you then sat there with your phone buzzing, you asked yourself, should I check it? I wonder who it is. Now, just about 3 short years ago, we were only asking and answering 10,000 questions in any given day, so that's up threefold because of this technology. Think about the exchange. If you check that text message, it's a burst of short questions and answers. Do you want to go to lunch today? Sure. Where should we go? How about the food court? Should we invite anybody else with us? Think about the questions you had to ask just to get here this morning. When the alarm went off, first question, do I get up or do I hit snooze? I think some of you answered that question a couple of times. Did you go work out? When you went to work out, did you do the elliptical, the treadmill, the free weights? When you went to get ready, what pants, what skirt, what blouse, what shirt? Ladies, what shoes? Lots of questions in any given day, right? If we ask and answer 35,000 questions in any given day, doesn't it stand to reason our clients, our prospective clients, also ask and answer 35,000 questions? Isn't it our obligation as advisors, as financial coaches, to ask and answer those questions that make a difference in people's lives? You know the ones I'm talking about. They're the ones that got you here today. Let me share a few of mine. The first one, I'll never forget. Just shy of 12 years old, and the judge leaned across his desk and looked up at me over his glasses and said, Sarah Jane Delaney, who do you want to live with? And I looked up at him, and in my little voice, I squeaked, my dad. And the significance of that answer was about 30 days prior, my sister Kathy, the oldest of us 7, had sat us down and told us that Dad's alcoholism had gotten so bad that Mom and Dad were divorcing over it. And we would all be better cared for if we just stayed together and stayed with Mom. And when that judge asked me that question, my little head and my little heart couldn't reconcile who was going to take care of Dad. My dad was all I could mutter. That November, my dad and I moved out of our family home into a little rental house about 30 minutes away. The greatest thing, actually the only good thing about that house, was halfway between the house and the bank was the grocery store. Because on payday, when Dad would leave his check and the deposit slip and the withdrawal slip, I could hit the grocery store on the way home from the bank. Every week, I wrote out all the checks to manage the household finances. I wrote out the rent checks, the utility checks, the credit card checks, the insurance checks. I knew before the age of 12 how to balance a checkbook and reconcile it to the bank statement every month within a penny. I would have put that household ledger up against anyone in the neighborhood. That continued for a few years. And on my 15th birthday, I was quite excited to have a little party, just me and my dad. So I had made my own cake, left it on the table. And like so many nights, I waited for him to come home.